My friend was furious with me at her wedding because I dressed too nice.
Sorry. I guess somebody's never played Dress to Impress.
Hello, long-time lurker, first-time poster here. I, 25 female, went to a friend's wedding a few months ago. The friends are Matt, 25 male, and Susan, 25 female. We're all part of a much larger friend group that gets along pretty great. By the way, this comes from throwaway49594. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, to preface, I have actually never attended a wedding before in my life. And I don't tend to dress up or put on makeup. Nothing against it. It's just expensive and time consuming. And I work 16-hour days in a uniform. I was really excited when I got the invite, saved up, and went to a shop I know carries my size. I'm fairly tall. The clerk was amazing and so helpful. He chose a selection of dresses that would be wedding appropriate that weren't too close to what the bridal party would be wearing. And we had a lot of fun trying things on, and he was hyping me up. One of the options I just fell in love with was a beautiful dark green silk bias cut dress. Think Keira Knightley in Atonement. Pretty. Without the sash and less of a flowing skirt, we matched it with heels, and I'd never felt prettier. The dress was on sale too, so that was a plus. Wedding day comes, and it's lovely. I'm so happy for my friends. Susan ignores me, which is weird, but she's busy prepping, and the wedding is in full swing, and the reception is busy, so I don't think much of it. Everything goes off without a hitch, and they drive off to their honeymoon. I suppose it's relevant, but I received several compliments on my outfit during the event. I didn't think it's caused a scene, and it wasn't anything particularly effusive or over the top. I was doing the same to others, so I didn't think it stood out. Everything concludes. We all have a nice time. No one says anything until tonight. We all got together for a welcome back dinner for Matt and Susan. During the dinner, Susan kept making snipes at me about what I wore. Just incredibly passive-aggressive. It was very clear she thought I overdressed. I didn't say anything at the time because I felt terrible. None of my friends corrected or stopped her either, but looking back on it, I feel wronged. She didn't give me the benefit of the doubt, and I don't feel like my dress was over the top. I do think I likely look very different from how I normally dress and present myself, so that might be it. I'm trying not to go over the word limit, but I'm very open to questions and elaborations if needed. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? And there are some comments and an update.
I think we need more information before we can actually determine.
Well, we got some.
It doesn't sound like you are right now.
We got some comments, so maybe they'll help.
Yeah.
Commenter info, was there a stated dress code? Opie says the invite said formal, and I knew it was going to first be in a church and that the reception would be in a local hotel that looks like a castle and is quite fancy, though I've never been. Another commenter says, not the a-hole, you're tall and you don't normally girl up. If the bride felt like you were trying to steal thunder, it's likely due to her own insecurities. Your dress was appropriate for the event you were at. It's just that you probably were stunning, and that may have shocked people who never look at you that way. Either way, not your problem. Opie says, I was deliberately going for something very unadorned because she was wearing a ball gown with flower and rhinestone applique. I think that's the term. Her dress is a lovely dress, and the reception venue was perfect for it. Effectively a castle. And Opie's dress, I actually haven't seen the movie, so I don't know the intent. It was just the closest match I could find while Googling trying to find the dress. I tried Googling other dresses that look similar, but most of them have a big thigh slit, which mine doesn't. I just didn't know how common bias cut is as a descriptor while also being accurate to my dress. To another commenter, pretty similar to the Atonement dress, but a bit less mid-back rather than low-back, which isn't unusual for dresses to my understanding. Also brought a simple black little jacket to wear with it, since it was a winter wedding and we moved venues, but didn't wear it the whole time, understandably.
You know what? Hot take.
Yeah.
You're an a-hole for just being so hot.
You're just too freaking hot.
You're
There's a
so
lot of
hot,
comments.
it makes you the bad guy automatically.
What say you?
I mean, not the a-hole. This person's just insecure that you
Yeah.
looked hot.
Exactly. As long as you weren't violating any of the rules of the wedding, then they can't say anything.
I feel like you'd always want to be overdressed at a wedding instead of underdressed.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't know because I don't wedding.
But there's more comments. Commenter says, bias cut isn't much of a description of a dress at all. It just means the material has been cut at an angle. Opie says, shoot, then I don't even know if that's correct. That was my conclusion after consulting Google trying to find the dress and then something close to it when that failed. Commenter says, the dress in Atonement is pretty attention-seeking. It was deliberately chosen in the movie and created a splash amongst viewers, so I'd say you're the a-hole. The wedding wasn't your moment.
What a dumb take.
OP specifically stated that the back was like mid-back, and that's really the only thing that's crazy about that dress. Like, and I say crazy with quotes.
I just wonder how much hotter OP is than the person
OP's
getting married.
just hot.
OP is hotter than the person getting married, and the person getting married is
It's
upset
sad.
about it.
OP says, very fair. It wasn't my intent, but well, could have been the impression and results. Were other women wearing cocktail dresses or gowns? OP says about 50-50. I definitely wasn't the only one, but I'd say the wedding was very male heavy, so 5 men per 1 woman, I think. Poof. She had a huge bridal party, so most of our mutual female friends were part of the bridal party. So I'm not counting their long dresses or not invited. Commenter says, I see a lot of American women wear short dresses to formal weddings, which baffles me. Formal to me means long dresses. Maybe that's why OP wasn't wearing a short dress.
Yeah, that's not a short.
We never,
right?
nothing was ever said about a short dress.
Why everyone's getting so wrapped up about this? But by the way, it doesn't matter if she wore something that makes her look really hot.
I don't understand.
It's a wedding. You're supposed to look nice.
But if more women other than the bridesmaid wore long dresses and she isn't mad at anyone else but you, that's weird. I think this commenter is saying like, oh, maybe she expected people to wear short dresses, which doesn't make sense either. OP says she's not mad at anyone else. Yeah. That I'm aware of, but apparently some friends did talk to her, so she's mad at them now. Okay. So some people are on your side. Commenter says, interesting that it was a predominantly male-attended event. Based on that, plus the way she treated you, it sounds like Susan is definitely not a girl's girl. OP says, I think that's a multi-factor thing. Susan and Matt come from big families with mainly brothers. She's not in contact with her mother. Our friend group is largely male, and then on top of that, some of her friends are attracted to the same gender, so more men as a +1. I know she got into a fight with some of the girls, so she uninvited them to the wedding, and pretty much all the rest were bridesmaids. Well, I am not the closest with her personally, so I was just happy to be there. To clarify the last bit, happy to be there versus being in the bridal party. We're friends, but not the closest as some of me and the other girls/guys are. Commenter says, TBH, you went to a dress place and had the employee recommend dresses. Presumably, a qualified employee helping you pick out a dress would not have recommended a dress in which you could upstage the bride, or which would be over the top for a wedding guest. Exactly.
Right, that the dress itself is not egregiously.
I doubt the dress
not
was a
for a wedding.
problem. I doubt the dress was a problem.
Yeah, it's that the person in the dress is hotter than the bride.
OP says, I did show him what the bride was wearing and that we had to avoid reds, bridal party color, so we wouldn't have anything remotely similar. He was honestly a sweetheart, not in a pushy salesman way, but really hyping up and helpful. Commenter says, exactly. You went to someone qualified to suggest appropriate options and showed him what the bridal party was wearing. And presumably told him the dress code was formal. It is this person's job to help people select appropriate wedding attire. And if he's at all experienced, he'd know that some brides can get jealous and controlling. He would not have recommended a bride upstaging dress. It seems to me like you did the appropriate thing. And OP says, yes, and honestly, the height was an issue. A lot of the shorter dresses are just too short on me and look indecent or just weird, not lying where they should. And it's way easier to hem something than make something longer. Not that this one needed hemming. You'd think it'd be the other way around when shopping for dresses, but that hasn't been in my experience. And yes, OMG was so kind and lovely. And there is an update. I think either the friend is just super jealous of you, or the husband got into you, and she's upset about it.
I think that.
That's my conspiracy theory.
I think since there was a lot of guys there, not a lot of women, a lot of the guys were like, "Dang!" And then the girls' husbands or significant others were like, "Oh my gosh!" And
Yeah,
like,
she was like, "What?
Dude, husband definitely made a comment that was like,
Oh, she looks nice."
why don't you try looking like that?
Oh, that
Why
would
don't
be
you
terrible.
try looking like that?
But there is an update. So we're about to find out what really happened. Crap hit the fan. Turns out the dress didn't matter at all.
Uh-oh.
Shocking.
Instincts.
Pretty much just brought some old crap up, I guess. Bear with me because I'm trying to piece things together and dealing/venting. Some info I've gotten directly, some secondhand, not all at the same time. Got some from texting friends, others reached out, and I talked with Susan on the phone. All right, so apparently this is relevant. I come from a fairly abusive situation. Not the worst, but still not great. Add on some religious trauma, and since a young age, I've been pretty relationship averse and do not date casually or hook up with folks, and am a staunch atheist. Believe what you want to believe, that's fine, but it's not for me, yeah? How does this apply? Well, Matt, you might be getting a creeping suspicion at the root of the issue about now, is very Christian. Not an a-hole about it, but he's been very clear that that's the type of life he wants to live, and he wants to be a pastor. So a full-on decade ago, he asked me to a school dance. I freaking knew it.
No way.
We didn't know each other very well yet. I told him no because my parents didn't let me go to those. He then asked if we could date, and I gently turned him down because A, again, my parents wouldn't have allowed it, and B, I knew I didn't want to live a religious life. I knew he was very religious. This was a decade ago. We didn't become friends or anything then. That came later because my best friend started to date one of the guys in the group, and our two friend circles merged. He dated people in between then as well. So like a little awkward, but rarely ever thought about it. We were 15. Time passes. He starts dating Susan. Susan and her friends join the group. Everything's fine. We get along okay. Not the closest, but good. There's some drama, but I'm not usually in it. And honestly, I'm really busy with uni and work. Then just work. But apparently, Matt told Susan that he had asked me out. No clue if he told her when it was, and this did bother her. I was oblivious. And yes, some of you were right. She is insecure, and she also has anxiety. Matt apparently would get annoyed at her anxiousness when she called him crying, and in the moment would be supportive. But then after would compare her to me? Why?
Okay, I gotta say, I'm sorry. I hope this doesn't offend too many people, but having a secret, I wish I was married to this girl who I asked to a dance at 15 and said no, but like wanting her to be your secret wife, that is the most pastor activity I've ever heard.
He never forgot his his childhood love. You gotta forget it. You gotta move on, buddy. You got to move on. Like, sorry, but I'm going to be real with you here. Getting followed by a creep on a train is very different when you're 6 foot and take martial arts versus 5'1" with anxiety. Not fun either way. Scary all this time, but can you blame her for crying? Okay. So he's saying, like, she would call him crying and being like, this guy was following me. I'm, like, worried. And he's like, oh, well, OP wouldn't be worried about that. And so OP's saying, well, like when you're 6'1" and no martial arts, it's different than when you're 5'1" with anxiety.
Yeah, when you're literally Ronda Rousey.
Yeah. Not fun either way. Scary all the time. But can you blame her for crying? Sorry, I'm a little pissed. No, I would not blame her for crying because that is a scary situation.
Yeah.
And the fact that her partner was like, well, OP wouldn't do this. Like, what? Shut up. You suck, dude.
Sucking.
So I'm guessing she built up some sort of resentment towards me, but never told me. Again, I'm oblivious to all this going on. The vid happens, he proposes, they wait a bit more for marriage, she invites people to the wedding and does not want me to be a part of the bridal party, which again, we're not the closest, so I'm unfazed. Maybe a bit of sadness, but her bridal party is large and with girls closer to her, so I don't mind. My best friend is aware of some of the subtext going on here because of her boyfriend, the same guy I mentioned earlier. So she doesn't get along well with Susan and has a fight unrelated around this time. So Susan says she's not invited and my friend doesn't care. She's going to be abroad then anyways. She also punts some girls from the bridal party because they were apparently talking crap about the relationship. But I know very little about this all third hand. I mean, it makes sense if they're talking crap about the relationship if he's acting this way because he sucks. So from what I can get from the conversation I had with Susan, is that she thinks me asking about what the bridal party and she was wearing was a dig somehow. And that I chose green deliberately so that I'd stand out from the bridal party and her dress has red accents here and there in the opposite color. Again, didn't ask me this, just came to that conclusion on her own. She also is utterly convinced that I dressed so nice because I wanted to tempt Matt. And I should have dressed more modestly. So I asked why this was all coming up now and why not talk to me about it. I could have assured her that there was never anything between Matt and I, and there never would be. This is where she tells me that during their honeymoon, he tells her that he's having doubts and feels like I was the one who got away.
Whoa! Oh my God!
This man sucks.
The girl who didn't go to the dance with you 10 years ago when you were in high school.
That's embarrassing, dude. That's embarrassing.
That's beyond embarrassing. That's like disturbing.
That's shocking to me. You never even dated her. And needs to pray over the relationship. They haven't separated or anything, but things have been tense and bad. So when they had that dinner and she saw me again, she was pissed. She didn't say this directly, but I think it's pretty easy to infer. Now, this didn't come up in the call, but chronologically, this happened shortly after I left the dinner. Some of our friends texted her and then reached out to me. Some talked to her directly. To the first person she talked to directly, she started slut-shaming me pretty hard. But apparently in a way where she thought they'd agree with her. And when she didn't, she got pissed and has been really short with everyone after.
That's really crazy.
At this point, I tried to assure Susan that really nothing is there. I honestly have no clue what Matt's on about, and she just loses it. Starts screaming and swearing at me through the phone and crying and calling me really horrible things. I try to shut this down, but she cannot hear me. She's shouting so much. So I just hang up because WTF am I supposed to do with that? I send her a text saying that, hey, I'm sorry you're going through this.
Stop.
You don't deserve to be treated this way. But I don't deserve this treatment either.
Exactly.
Good. Whenever you're able to, I'd like to have a respectful face-to-face conversation. It shows red, but no answer. Honestly, you have to no contact these people because they're it sucks what he's doing to her, but she can't be doing this to you.
Just a complete waste of time trying to salvage that situation.
Like you
not
literally
worth it, not
just
needed.
existed, and they're making their whole marriage is crumbling around you. But you're you're just existing.
Like the problem is this woman needs to no longer be with this man.
I have not contacted Matt because honestly I'm a little freaked out and a lot pissed and don't have a clue what to say and don't really want to be near him at the moment. But I want you guys to be near full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime.
It's really hard to be far away from the stories when you can just pop in some earbuds and then you have an essentially unlimited amount of stories to search through.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit left to the story. I don't think this is over. I might update again when/if more happens because this was honestly really cathartic to write this all out. OP's commenter says they should just annul the wedding and go their separate ways. OP says, unfortunately, they passed the timeline where they could by a small margin. So they'd have to separate for a year and then get divorced. I don't know if they would, given that they're quite religious. And while their denomination doesn't disallow divorce, it's understandably quite against it, especially if he wants to be a pastor.
Why are we caring for 1/2 of a second what these people are going through or what they're thinking or what their lives are like? Move on, move beyond them.
That said, I 100% agree. Commenter says, not the a-hole. When she's ready, definitely have that face-to-face conversation and explain that you were 15 when he asked you out. You were never the one that got away because you never dated and you were both teens. Also, please explain that you asked about the colors to ensure you wouldn't be matching the bridal party, which is a common question us women ask about weddings. Reassure her that you were only friends at a later date after the teenage years due to the friend groups overlapping, not because you sought him out or he you. Explain, if given the chance, everything you've explained here and in your prior post. I definitely agree that you need to stay no contact with him, at least until they figured everything out. You are definitely not causing the issue. It almost sounds like to me that he was settling rather than finding that spark, especially given what he said to her on their honeymoon. Just you. Who says that to their new spouse? If and when you have to face-to-face with her, tell her that you've chosen to go no contact with him, or at the very least, low contact with him, but only if it's in a group setting and she's there. It sounds like he has some issues to work through. We all do at times, and that's okay. But what isn't okay is him comparing his new bride to other women. Again, this isn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. And OP says, thanks for writing this out. It was very thoughtful. A whole mess. It's left me feeling gross, sad, creeped out, and sad for Susan. I'm trying to figure out how long I should wait before reaching out to Susan again, let alone if I really should. Like, what the F can I do about this? Explanations are good, but it doesn't fix the core situation at hand. Ugh, sorry, I hope this makes sense. The whole situation has just got me exhausted. And that is the end of that story.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you should go no contact or at least low contact with both of them.
It's like
why would you even want to be friends with these people? Yeah. They suck.
Part of me feels like this story is probably more like just getting this out.
Yeah.
And less of like, how do I help these people? But
don't help them. It's just like rant.
you don't need to help them at all.
Nope.
And your life is going to be better and
If you don't
simpler
even
and
see
smoother
them.
without their presence, especially given the fact that this unhinged man believes that you were the one who got away.
He's crazy. I wouldn't want to talk to him ever again. I'd be like,
We
don't.
had so many good memories, like the time I asked her to dance
And she said no.
And then I've pretty much played that on repeat for a decade.
I never forgot about that moment. She looked me in the eyes and said no. And I was like, wow, I'm in love.
That's when I was like, I knew it was forever in that moment. I knew it was forever as soon as she said, I don't want anything to do with you.